Great. Well, thank you guys for having me. As you know, or maybe you don't know, some of you might not be familiar with LEAP, but we've been pretty active with Cville100 for some time. So I'm really happy that I'm able to present to you all today and kind of remind you of our programs, the work we do, why it matters, and the changes that we've all kind of been seeing over the past year. I will touch on that probably a little bit at the end, and I'll also take some questions at the end. This is going to be our general presentation, so I'll just jump right in. So the Local Energy Alliance program, as you may have guessed, is a nonprofit organization that focuses on energy. We provide and improve energy efficiency and promote sustainable energy practices throughout Virginia. Our mission statement is to lead the effort in local communities to implement energy efficient and renewable technologies in buildings, to promote cost savings for families and businesses, job creation, energy self-reliance, and local economic development, and to mitigate climate change. And our vision is to create a sustainable, clean energy future for the communities we serve. Since we got our start in 2009, we have established ourselves as a trusted leader in Virginia for energy efficiency and community support. So often home and business owners who are struggling with high energy bills or uncomfortable houses will reach out to us to cut costs, and they often look to us for energy assistance. With our expertise, income and age qualifying programs, and special rebates, we make energy and home upgrades more affordable for the residents who need it most. This desire for energy affordability is also how we expanded into our solar energy program in 2014 called Solarize Virginia, which some of you are also familiar with, and I will bring up a little more at the end of this presentation. But first, I kind of want to explain how our program works to the uninformed. So first, a client will contact LEAP for energy assistance. If they say, my house is drafty or my energy bills are $500, we will take their intake and get their information, and we'll perform an energy assessment. From there, we create a scope of work with upgrades and program that our programs will cover. So we have, broadly speaking, 3 separate programs through Dominion Energy, the City of Charlottesville, and Albemarle County. These are like 3 separate funding pools that we can use to help the residents get these upgrades at no cost to them. It's completely free for age and income qualifying residents. From there, we have a crew that does the energy efficiency upgrades, again, at no cost to the resident. And then we submit the finished project documents to the program that they would be assigned to. In other words, we're here because we care. That's a little cheesy, but it's true. We're doing this work because we're passionate and we care about the residents that we support. So some examples of our work include attic insulation, floor insulation, bulb replacements, heat tracking, air ventilation quality. We'll do crawl space maintenance and blower door tests. So if you look here, this is our energy analyst, Jessie. She is doing a blower door test on the front door of our operations manager, Chris's home. He just moved into a new townhome. He wanted to have his home looked at to see how efficient it was running. So this is a giant fan they put at the front door after sealing the rest of the door off, and it blows air throughout the home. And with this, they can then look at the thermal camera here to track and see where that air is escaping from the home. So basically we'll tell you where all of your gaps are that need to be filled in the home. And down here is a ventilation test. They're basically making sure that there's no cracks or holes in the vents throughout the home. And then Andrew here, I think this isn't as common, but he's checking the gas or combustion through this thing. I'm not as familiar with that one, but they're very thorough in checking the home for any potential leaks or dangers. And actually, I went with Andrew, I want to say 3 months ago, to a resident's home in town in Charlottesville, and the resident was smelling gas throughout the home, and he couldn't pinpoint where it was, but he knew that he smelled it. And Andrew used his tools to be able to find exactly where the gas leak was happening, because we're not going to work in the home if there's, any risk of danger or injury to the resident. So we were able to go ahead and help him locate that leak before doing any additional work. That's all to say, we're big advocates for energy efficiency. So why care about energy efficiency? Improving your home's energy efficiency can help you save money on your utility bills and create a more comfortable living environment. Simple upgrades like better insulation or energy efficient appliances can reduce the amount of energy your home uses, cutting down on heating and cooling costs. These improvements not only make your life more pleasant and your home more comfortable, but also reduces the impact on your neighbors and your community members. Plus, there are often a lot of programs like ours, like I mentioned before, that cover the cost of these upgrades, making it easier for residents to make those changes. I'm going to go into some energy saving tips for you guys, but they're very basic. And I'll be honest, a lot of you probably already know them because you're very well informed and you're very conscious of the environmental space. So I'll go through them really quickly and we can all laugh at them. But changing your light bulbs to LEDs. You'd be surprised how much energy is wasted from using outdated bulbs. I believe my coworker Anthony likes to say he's an energy analyst and also a program manager for LEAP. He's gone into homes before where there have been outdated bulbs, and after he changed all of the bulbs on this one chandelier to LEDs, the total energy used from the LEDs on the chandelier were equal to one bulb that was expelling energy on the chandelier originally. So it's really important to make sure you're aware of how much energy is being expelled in your home, and changing your bulbs is an easy way to be aware of that. You can also adjust the thermostat in your home to reduce utility expenses. By optimizing your home's temperature for the summer or winter, you can really make an impact on efficiency because your home doesn't have to work too hard in those climates. It's also important to be conscious about how you adjust your thermostat in the winter. In general, it's best not to adjust your thermostat by more than 2 degrees at a time. So if your home is really cold in the winter and you skyrocket it up to 80 degrees, you're actually going to kick on the emergency heat and cost yourself more money over the long term versus doing it in increments. So if your home's at 60 degrees and you want to go to 80, you should heat it up to 70 first, then 72, and so on. Another easy way to do this is just to get a programmable thermostat to save yourself the headache. Most modern thermostats should have that ability to scale it over time, but I encourage you to check and just be aware of how your system's operating. There's also phantom energy. Turning off the lights when you leave the room, turning off appliances when you leave the room, TVs, all of that stuff. Maybe even unplugging if you're extreme enough, will all be ways to save energy in your home. I know when I was a kid, my mom constantly yelled at me for leaving the lights on when I left a room. I didn't understand why. As an adult, you quickly understand that cost adds up very quickly. A lot of people also ask us if we can replace windows in their homes, but that is actually not the only solution, nor is it the first solution for saving energy. In fact, replacing your windows probably won't lower your overall energy consumption, and you might not notice any savings at all. This is because windows are rarely the biggest sources of air leakages. They are the most obvious, but they're not always the biggest. And it usually surprises people because a lot of people would have their windows as the first thought. But typically, there are many other problems collectively that outweigh your windows being drafty. We recommend that homeowners, rather than spending a lot of money on replacing windows and doors, you can focus instead on resealing them. Weather strips are fairly inexpensive and easy to use, and you can purchase window inserts that serve as a large seal for the windows in your home. So you can see this is a window insert that fits to the window, and it's magnetic, and it usually just clips in and can be an additional barrier to protecting your home from extreme climates. Checking your water temperature is also really easy. You can use a kitchen thermometer. 120 degrees is often the recommended temperature. It's still hot, but it uses less energy and it's not scalding. My uncle is very determined to have his water as hot as possible. Whenever I go and wash my hands at his house, my hands are like burning. Some people prefer that, but if you want your water hot without risking yourself, a lot of us have very sensitive skin. 120 degrees is more than adequate. A lot of water heaters tend to run hotter than your body can withstand anyways, so it's good to just check your water heater and ensure that it isn't scalding for you. And finally, just some additional energy saving tips. You can switch to energy efficient appliances. So Energy Star products are the same or better than standard products, but they use less energy. So this means that the Energy Star appliances are thoroughly checked and vetted to be the most efficient versions for the household. To earn the Energy Star stamp of approval, appliances must meet strict energy criteria set forth by the EPA. And since they use less energy, these products tend to save you more money in the long run. Just make sure to keep that in mind if you're in the market for a new device or a new appliance.
Hey, Jala, can I just ask a question? I definitely remember hearing about the Trump administration getting rid of the Energy Star program, essentially. What's the status of that?
Yeah, as far as I know, that is still the case, but these appliances are still available that you can get in the market currently. I'm not completely keyed in on the status of where it's going, but as far as I know, it is still shut down. Which takes me to my next topic, federal changes. So as you guys have all been aware, nonprofits are equally undergoing structural realignments given the federal changes that we've been seeing. LEAP has been no exception to this rule. We did have two programs that we were really looking forward to, and one that is now currently being reevaluated. The first two, of course, being the Inflation Reduction Act and Solar for All, which is kind of tucked under the Inflation Reduction Act. So due to recent federal changes, the Solar for All program was completely stopped. In August 2025, the EPA abruptly ended the Solar for All program, which was a $7 billion grant program designed to expand residential solar access for low-income households. LEAP has a lot of experience working with low-income solar. We actually operated Dominion's low-income solar program not last year, but the year before for 2024, and we saw a lot of success from it. We were excited to pursue this as an additional step to providing solar for residents who might need the additional support with their utility bills, but the program had been halted under the Greenhouse Gas Reduction Fund. So we are a little disappointed, as you could imagine. But we're still kind of tracking it and seeing if there will be any kind of changes in the ruling. And as you can imagine, this has hindered progress on our solar activities for the year. The Inflation Reduction Act itself is paused. However, it's not been completely shut down, and we are involved in that and looking forward to having it continue in Virginia. We're also working with our partners and the DOE to monitor the progress. And once that passes, we are hoping to have funding to be able to expand the amount of people we help beyond the programs I mentioned previously. So basically, it'll give us the funding to raise the income bracket to help more people, to help people who aren't in Charlottesville or Albemarle, and really buckle down and expand the services we provide. Generally, while the pause is frustrating, we are prepared to move quickly once the pause is lifted to ensure that these communities I mentioned can access clean, affordable energy and the benefits that come along with them. We're still focused on the work that we can control. LEAP has hit the ground running for this year. We're off to a really strong start. And actually last year, we were probably the most booked that we've been in recent years. Our programs are still ongoing for senior market rate and income-based residents to receive energy support. And with Solarize Virginia right around the corner, we are evaluating the current landscape and planning how to best proceed this year. Solarize Virginia is our solar program that we do. It's a solar support program. And previously, we used it as a way of connecting residents to solar installers they could trust. So oftentimes we'd partner with local installers to kind of give a slight discount on the pricing in exchange for that resident learning about solar. They'd attend free webinars that we would hold. They would get all of their questions answered and kind of be shepherded through the process without any kind of worry about whether the installer was going to randomly go out of business or do, cold door knocks, all the things that we tend to associate with less reputable solar companies. So this is a program we've been doing, like I mentioned, since 2014. And while we are excited to move forward with it this year, we are kind of seeing what our options are, given that federal tax incentives for solar was ended in December of 2025. I think we're going to probably shift more towards education and general awareness of how solar works, but that's yet to be seen as we continue to meet with our partners and our solar experts in the field. If you are considering solar, though, I still do encourage people to do it. It's a really beneficial way to give back to the environment and to reduce your utility bills. So if you have the capability to do so without the programs I mentioned, and you still want to make that switch, then of course, please do so. And just as an additional resource, we have our Energy Resource Hub, which is local to Charlottesville and Albemarle. And it's a partner effort that we started with the City of Charlottesville, Albemarle County, and the Community Climate Collaborative, or C3. It serves as a tool to connect homeowners, renters, and businesses in the area with energy-saving rebates and incentives. The website also provides opportunities to seek in-person technical assistance with our energy navigator. Her name is Rosina, where you can kind of get all of your questions answered about your home specifically and your needs and the different ways you can save money. So we are really just trying to hit the ground running this year and focus on the programs that we very much can control. Here's our social media in case you want to follow us, and I open the floor for some questions. Yes, Randy?
Well, the Spanberger administration is very interested in affordability, bringing down costs for Virginians. So do you think that they will support your efficiency programs?
I do have some hope that that's going to be happening. Rosina, the energy expert I mentioned, was talking with our contacts with the City of Charlottesville, and they seemed hopeful about the General Assembly and talking with the legislators about the programs that we have going on, because we're doing good work. And I haven't heard no, so fingers crossed. I'll keep you in the loop if we get any kind of solid answers on that. But it seems like Spanberger would want to support our program. Kara, is that correct? Or Kara? Kara? Okay.
Yeah, Kara. So I was wondering about Fluvanna County. It's just outside of Albemarle. So I was wondering if you include any other counties or not.
Yeah, so Fluvanna is hit or miss. And the reason I say that is because we operate mostly through Dominion. So if a resident doesn't have Dominion Energy...
So half the...
Yeah. So if a resident doesn't have Dominion Energy, we tend to have to pass them to the partners, like CHP, I think, operates in Fluvanna. If we do get residents who come to us who we can't service due to the limitations I mentioned, we do connect them to partners. We don't just leave them and say, oh, good luck. So if you have anyone who's interested, or if you have questions about it specifically for you, I'm happy to help you.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome. Tom?
My wife, Ren. I was in response to Peter's question about energy efficiency items. I read in the Washington Post that the Congress is about to pass legislation restoring shower heads to their full forma water flow, whatever Trump, always finds about how showers only put out a dribble of water now. So Congress is apparently responding to that to demand or to pass a law that shower heads will be returned to their previous full flow.
Anyway. Great. Okay.
Still
please send a link to that, because I'd like to read that later.
It's something really important to focus on given the state of the world. But anyway.
Yeah.
Make shower heads great again. Come on.
Yeah, that's right.
Peter.
So, just on the subject of the Energy Resource Hub, a group of environmental advocates met with Katrina Carlson, Delegate Carlson, earlier. I think just in December, and informed her that the city and the county, I think, but perhaps mainly the city, is proposing a $450,000 budget item to support the Energy Resource Hub. And Delegate Carlson wasn't really familiar with the ask, but her legislative aide or her office aide was very familiar with it, and Delegate Carlson seemed like she would be amenable to at least putting it forward in the General Assembly, that budget item. So just for your information.
Yeah, that was kind of what I was trying to reference, but you said it much more eloquently than I. So yeah, no, thank you for mentioning that. We're hopeful that we'll continue to see some traction for the Energy Resource Hub. It's been really successful. Last year we helped, I want to say, over 300 or 400 residents and business owners just get connected to energy incentives and rebates. So we're definitely looking to expand that into more parts of the state if we can.
So in addition to how many people you helped, you should also state how many megawatts you saved.
Yeah, I have that data, but it's not comprehensible at the moment. We're working through our annual report, but I can have that for you guys via email probably by the end of the month.
Well, the Senator Deeds, our other local representative, is putting forward. He's already proposed a bill to establish a energy efficiency and weatherization task force. Yeah, are you familiar with that? And I guess the more general question is, of the clients that LEAP serves, what are the primary barriers to achieving energy efficiency in the area?
I did see that they were looking to start a task force for weatherization. Given my role, I can't speak to. I'm not as involved with the energy side of the work we do. I mainly do outreach, and so I will funnel into your next question. We mostly help senior residents. I would say that that's been the most impactful. I've gone to Jala events. I've spoken with residents face to face, just throughout the city and county, and I've been able to really see the impact of the work we're doing. One resident, her name is Marjorie Chambers. She lives in New Canton. She was actually caring for her 95-year-old mother as a 66-year-old resident, and she didn't have any power in her home last year. She was caring for her mom with just a generator that would go out all the time, and we were able to expedite her services, restore power to her home, get a ramp built for her mother in partnership with Building Goodness Foundation, which is another really important nonprofit in the area. And we were able to give her mini splits, AC units in her home to make sure that it was staying cool for her mom over the summer. And if we hadn't done that, I get really concerned about what would have happened to her, you know. And actually, Marjorie is now one of our biggest advocates. She wants to volunteer at events. She wants to tell everybody we've been in New Canton so much more because of her. And that kind of sticks with you, you know what I mean, as you continue to do the work. So the senior residents are definitely the most important aspect of the demographics we serve. But of course, the low income residents are equally as important. I would just say we don't experience them maybe as much.
Okay, I think we got 3 people that I saw or see have raised their hands. I think Bob has had his hand up the longest, so we'll go with Bob first.
Hi, Bob.
Hi, Jala. I just wanted to mention that back in 2014, I participated in the Solarize Charlottesville program and had panels installed on my roof in December of 2014 and insulation added to the attic and to the crawl space in early 2015. And I've graphed, spreadsheeted the kilowatt hour usage that I've had each month and set it up so I can compare it to prior years before. And I've had substantial savings over that period. My annual electric bill has been in the range of like $400. for
That's
the
incredible.
entire year. This year is a different story. It's been incredibly cold, and I've got a lot of health equipment that's running, but it's really worthwhile in the long run. Also, there was a clip from Governor Spanberger's address to the General Assembly where she made it clear that Virginia is rejoining RGGI, the Regional Greenhouse Gas Initiative, and I think that's worthwhile.
Yeah, thank you, Bob, for your comments. I'm glad that Solarise ended up working for you. And if you ever want to give a testimonial, let me know. But yeah, thank you.
All right, let's go with Annette and then Brian. Annette?
Oh, yeah, and actually, Bob there mentioned what I was going to ask, which is the pathway to rejoining RGGI. It's only, a few days out here, but, obviously Spanberger has the motivation to do it. So any sense, Jala, that you've heard on the timeline for that? Rejoining RGGI?
No, I haven't heard anything really on the timeline. I actually just met with the city last week, and beyond the General Assembly comments, I don't think we have a timeline on our end.
Okay. Yeah, that's my understanding too, that despite, opportunities to give a timeline, she hasn't given one yet. So.
And then Brian, yeah.
Oh no, please finish. Sorry.
No, I think you're right.
Thank you so much for the presentation. I had two quick questions about this, if it's all right. The first is, so LEAP does most of the weatherization. Do you ever have issues where home repair costs are prohibitive? So I might be, sorry, echo. Where you have prohibitive home repair costs. I know there was a federal program that backstops some of that. That's not really around in the way that it used to be. Is that an issue for LEAP going forward? And then the second part of the question is really, is LEAP engaged or is looking at potentially fuel switching? I know that Charlottesville Utility has, gas utility looking at long-term electrification and so forth. Does LEAP have a position in that? Are they engaged in that?
Both really good questions. So regarding the fuel switching, we do have a stance on electrification. We actually partnered with Rewiring America to encourage residents to switch to electric appliances. We also have just kind of carried general information on making the switch to electric versions of their appliances. And when we have the funding or the ability to, we will try to switch out their upgrades with electric versions. Regarding funding issues or prohibitive funding, I think that was the term you used. Sometimes we encounter issues when we are doing energy assessments on the homes of the residents we serve. Sometimes they have problems with their homes that are beyond our scope. And when that does happen, we either need to find the funding or we're unable to act on the home. Oftentimes with residents who have utility issues, making energy upgrades comes last for them. It's not one of their priorities. If they have to choose between paying their bills or making home upgrades that they need to make, they're not going to choose, the latter. So the result is dilapidated homes and homes that are not as taken care of as maybe they should be. So when things are beyond our scope, we will partner with organizations like AHIP to see if there are things that we can do for them at no cost, or Dominion does allow us special funding. So this is kind of new, but basically, if we can go to Dominion and say, hey, this resident has this issue that's keeping us from making the weatherization changes that we need to make, Dominion will allow us to sometimes hire an outside contractor to get those things fixed. And this just kind of ensures that resident isn't going without. But there have been a lot of times where we've been unable to get the funding and we can't, make the changes that we need to. But we will pass them to a partner that we know that can maybe make the additional changes before we come back and look at the home. We're working with Southwood right now on their mobile homes in Albemarle County. And I can't tell you how many times we've run into issues with these mobile homes that we traditionally can't fix, but we will work with Dominion to use that special funding to make whatever improvements we can make before we can go in. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
I was just going to mention that Bruce and Bob and maybe some other people on the call were involved with Impact in years past, and at least one other, or maybe for several years, they had a issue focus on energy efficiency, trying to basically a climate focus. And I don't know about much that happened in the Albemarle area, Charlottesville Albemarle area, but I know that there was something going on in Richmond area, and that was a program to basically upgrade or retrofit homes so that they could then be improved for energy efficiency. So I know those efforts have occurred in the past in various parts of the state. And I think that RGGI funding was used specifically for that purpose as well. So
thank you. Yeah, any other questions? Again, I apologize because I'm not an energy expert. So if you want to have a follow-up and have some additional questions for one of my analysts, I'm happy to set aside some time, maybe next month or in the future, to do a part 2. And those guys speak in a totally different language. But if you want to talk about the impact and the work that we're doing, I'm your person.
Jala, it was a great presentation and we learned a lot, I think. Is there any other questions?
Just say quickly, the Trump showerhead law Washington Post link is in the chat for anybody who wants to.
Yes, so thanks.
Thanks. I'm going to read
just
that.
For Jala's personal interest, Bruce posted that in the chat that he has been playing the card game that you're talking about since 1993.
It's a good game.
So I don't know if you want to challenge him because I'm sure he's a wizard.
It'd be cool to play Commander sometime, Bruce.
Well, thank you very much, Jala, for the presentation.
Thank you.
Thank you. That was great. Thanks.
Take care, guys.
Keep up the good work.
Thank you.